Hello and welcome back to Underlab. You may have already seen the video I uploaded a few days ago, called The Secrets Behind Undertale's Music You Never Knew. Well, welcome to the sequel. As I mentioned then, there's so much to talk about that I couldn't possibly fit it all into a single video. So here's the second part. Undertale is hugely renowned for its music, and naturally, as with anything that's clearly has a lot of effort put into it, there's some interesting facts and stories behind the conception of many of our favourite Undertale tracks. From Megalovania to Death by Glamour, it's time to learn even more obscure facts all about Undertale's critically acclaimed soundtrack. If you've ever watched one of my videos in their entirety before, you'd have heard the song Oh One True Love that plays at the end. This track was originally composed for the scene we see during Undertale the musical, where Mettaton sings to us with his beautiful robotic voice. You may notice that during this scene, the application's window is actually renamed to Undertale the musical. Normally it just says Undertale in capital letters. What's most interesting of all about this particular moment, however, is that it's entirely a reference to Final Fantasy VI. In the classic RPG, during one stage within the game, we're witness to an opera in all its majesty. What made it so remarkable for the time is that no game had emulated a person singing so well before. While it may seem primitive by today's standards, the manipulation of sound was quite a feat for the time, using a sound chip with such limited potential. Due to how incredible it was for the time, the opera scene quickly became one of the most iconic moments in gaming. It's no wonder that Toby decided to pay tribute to it within this one scene within Undertale. I'll play short samples from both back to back so that you can hear the similarity. The iconic song Bone Trazzle, in other words Papyrus's theme, was never made for Undertale. Along with Fallen Down, Heartache, Another Medium and Megalovania, these songs were all originally designed for different projects. Megalovania in particular comes from the infamous Earthbound Halloween hack, also made by Toby Fox, which I've talked about several times in the past. It's pretty funny that some of the most iconic songs within the game were never originally meant for Undertale. I'm sure Bone Trazzle, Another Medium and certainly Megalovania immediately come to mind when we think of Undertale, but crazily enough, they were actually originally meant for something else. Many songs are thought to have used sound fonts from other games. One example is Dog Song, that uses the same sample of a dog barking as used in Mario Paint. The song Muse Star, that was cut from the game, seems to clearly sample the SNES version of Star Fox. It's unknown as to why Muse Star never appears within the game, though I've speculated in previous videos that it may be for the very reason I just gave, and Toby Fox decided to not officially use it within the game for copyright reasons. While the little beeps and boops from retro video games may not seem like something that someone legally owns, they do exist within a legal grey area when it comes to reappropriation, and so it can only be assumed that Toby was careful to not violate any laws when it came to sampling older games. One peculiar song is called Song That Might Play When You Fight Sans. Now, it's all in the name. It only says might, and the truth is the song never plays when you fight Sans, nor does it play anywhere else. After all, the song that plays when fighting Sans is Megalovania. So why does this song exist on Undertale's original soundtrack? Many people have noticed how it sounds like something straight out of Mega Man, another franchise renowned for its music. There's many potential explanations as to why this song appears within the soundtrack. Firstly, it could simply be a red herring. Toby likely knew that many people would anticipate that they'd eventually fight Sans, and should they learn that this song exists, they'd believe that without a doubt. If you were like me, you played the entirety of Undertale wondering when you would eventually fight Sans. It makes for quite the surprise to realise that his boss battle only appears on the genocide path. Alternatively, maybe there was a fight with Sans planned outside of the genocide route, because Toby finished the song but didn't implement the fight. He may have have decided to leave the track in anyhow. Finally, maybe he originally never intended to use Megalovania for the genocide battle with Sans. After all, he had used it twice before, both in the Halloween hack and for the Homestuck soundtrack. Still, the song Toby himself has described as the total embodiment of final bossitude won him over in the end, and for that reason Megalovania made its way into the game. Many fans seem grateful for that fact, as it's debatable whether that single song is even more popular than the game itself. Speaking of Megalovania, did you know that there's a sequel to the iconic song? Made for the I Miss You Earthbound 2012 album, it's more reminiscent of the very first version he created for his Halloween hack than it is the version most people know today from Undertale. Called Megalo Strikes Back, it's still a cool piece of music that will definitely remind you of Megalovania. I'll play a short sample for you now. This isn't really a song, though it is a very long audio file, called ABC123A. It was located within the game's files, along with the rest of the game's music. Should you listen to it, you'd find not a song, but a message warning you that should you post anything you find online, Toby won't make any more secrets. The entire message was made using synthetic voices found within FL Studio. It's since been replaced by mocking laughter, presumably because everyone and their mother has posted the inner workings of Undertale online. Now, before you come to my laboratory with pitchforks and torches, the file was changed to laughter before I even started this channel, and I have heard that Toby has since decided that he doesn't actually care that people started to post things online. Still, no one knows for certain, and this could very well be the reason why there's no satisfactory answer to mysteries such as Gaster. In other words, Toby may have wanted to create a mystery that was then ruined when people started to put all of Undertale's secrets online, and so now it will never be finished, as it can't be made how he intended it to be. I'll play samples from both audio files now, in case you're curious.
Hello, have some respect and don't spoil the game.
It's impossible to have mysteries nowadays.
Because of nosy people like you.
Another medium has a prototype called Patient, which was originally going to be part of the Homestuck soundtrack. It was never finished as Toby scrapped it before making another medium for Undertale instead. While they're quite similar songs, they do have some very distinct differences. I'll play both now so you can hear the origin of another medium. Bergentrocken is the short theme that plays before Asgore's main track. Roughly translated from German into English, it means king in the mountain, clearly referring to Asgore living within Mount Ebert. It also makes me think of burgers and trucks. Well, that's it for another episode on Undertale's music. It's quite possible that I could make a third video all about the game's soundtrack, so be sure to tell me whether you enjoyed this and I may consider it. It's unsurprising that there's so much to talk about for something so many people love. It must have been quite rewarding for Toby to have a song he's reiterated upon so many times until he considered it to be perfect, namely Megalovania, also become one of the most famous aspects of the game. Be sure to let me know if I taught you anything new this video, and why not also leave a comment telling me what your favourite Undertale song is. I don't think I could honestly choose a favourite, though I am quite a big fan of Asgore's theme. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't get stuck for hours on end listening to Undertale's soundtrack, and I'll see you next time. Before I go, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to my patrons, my head scientists Asgore and She, Cameron Vigil, Kay Jensen and Sophronius, and my Underlab scientists Crystal Slate, Nicholas Dux, Armin Arlett, Marisa Ray, Corey Kidwell, Yushio Koroni, Sarah Wydra and Emily Gatewood. Thanks to the generosity of every name you see here, this channel is able to keep going. If you enjoyed this video, please consider checking out the Patreon link below, as well as the video that explains why I'd so massively appreciate your contribution.